Welcome back as we start our exploration of the respiratory system. We're going to start first with muscles related to respiration. You may know some of these, but we're just going to review them again because they're all relevant to the respiratory system. The first and most important muscle is the diaphragm, and the diaphragm is skeletal muscle that separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal pelvic cavity. So anteriorly, it's very easy to see, it's going to be just below the lungs, and on models, it's usually on the undersurface, the dome surface of the lung. But when you look at the chest as a whole, or the torso as a whole, what you'll notice that anteriorly, it's quite high, but as you follow the diaphragm posteriorly, you see that it dives quite inferiorly on the posterior wall. And so that's why if you take out all the abdominal organs in a torso, all of this muscle that you were seeing here is the diaphragm. It's not just that tiny little line that you see on the anterior surface. Looking at the diaphragm as a whole, what you'll notice is that the center part of it tends to be non-muscular tissue. And in fact, it's called the central tendon of the diaphragm. And so there's both a view from above and a view from below going on here. What you'll notice in that central tendon areas, that's where the openings are for structures to cross between the thoracic and the abdominal cavities. Right? There's only 3 openings down there. Starting with the most posterior, exactly in the midline, sitting just anterior to the vertebral bodies, is the opening where the aorta passes through. And then anterior to that is going to be the opening for the esophagus, and the vagus nerve will go through here as well with it. And then over to the right side is where the opening for the inferior vena cava is, as the vena cava leaves its abdominal location and will dump its contents into the heart. So that's the diaphragm. The next set of muscles are intercostal muscles. Inter, between, costal has to do with the ribs. So we have 2 layers of intercostal muscles going on here. They are not anterior to the ribs, they are not posterior to the ribs, they are only in between the ribs. This is the meat that you're eating when you're eating ribs, by the way. So the more superficial set of muscles is known as the external intercostal. Apologies, this is misspelled. It's not intercoastal, it's intercostal. So please make sure you do not put that A in there. Intercostal muscles go from an upper outer to an inner lower direction. So they're going in this direction all the way around. They start posteriorly and then they come around anteriorly. And you notice on most people, they do not make it all the way to the midline. This is the sternum over here. And as you can see, these intercostal muscles, the external ones tend to end somewhere around the junction of the rib with the costal cartilage. In contrast to the external intercostals going in this direction, the internal intercostals are perpendicular to them. So that's what you're seeing on the more medial aspect of the chest cavity. So it's very important when you are looking from a superficial view that you're trying to figure out, are the muscle fibers going this way or that way? Want to bring your attention to the lower left quadrant. That is a picture looking from inside the chest cavity. So you're still looking for the same directions. If they were like this, they would be external intercostal. And because they are like this, they are internal intercostal muscles. Notice intercostal spelled correctly on this slide, so that's a good thing. All right. Then we have the scalene muscles, 3 muscles up there in the neck. All 3 of these muscles attach from transverse processes of the spine, and then they're going to attach to either the first rib or the second rib. The anterior scalene attaches to the first rib, so when it contracts, it helps elevate the first rib so you can dump a little bit more air into your chest cavity for forced inspiration. So this muscle, you can tell, it's often hidden by the sternocleidomastoid muscle, if that muscle is there, but you notice in all these pictures, the sternocleidomastoid has been removed. The scalene muscle is always found just anterior to these two structures. So the yellow structure right here, this is your brachial plexus coming out of your neck before it goes into your upper extremity. And then also associated with the brachial plexus is the subclavian artery and vein. So the anterior scalene will always be anterior to those structures. And the muscle that is immediately posterior to those structures is the middle scalene muscle. And the middle scalene has the same attachment as the anterior scalene to the first rib. So it will also elevate the first rib. Now, in contrast to that, the third scalene muscle, the posterior scalene muscle, attaches to the second rib. So it elevates the second rib. So when you are looking, realize all of these are still in the anterior neck. Okay. So if you are finding the semispinalis, or semispinalis capitis would be here, the splenius capitis would be here. This is the levator scapula coming off the scapula. Those three muscles are posterior muscles, so we're always anterior to those. The one immediately anterior to the levator scapula, you usually only can see a little triangle of it. That is the posterior scalene. Anterior to that would be the middle scalene. Then you would have the brachial plexus with the subclavian artery and subclavian vein. And then anterior to those, you would have the anterior scalene. So that's it for muscles related to respiration. And I'll see you again shortly as we move into the respiratory system proper.